Joining me now, Thiago Almeida, Nedbank Corporate and Investment Banking. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us here at COP27, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. It certainly has been a whirlwind of discussions, and a key theme is today's joint theme. It is Water and Gender Day. And we need to talk about water because this is a key concern in South Africa. And of course, there have been so many discussions around the challenges that the water environment poses for South Africa itself. Thiago, just as an open-ended question there, do you want to weigh in at the outset?
Yeah, Bronwyn, it's a mammoth task. And it's a significant issue for South Africa and also the rest of the continent. And every country across the continent has different challenges. Some are better prepared and are being more active in resolving the issue. South Africa, unfortunately, has taken a while to really wake up to the size of the issue and start doing something about it.
As you say, a big challenge in both South Africa and Africa. What developments are we seeing in this space, Thiago, to address the situation?
Okay, so it's I think when we talk about the water sector across the continent, every country is very, very different. And some are a lot more open to private sector participations, others are more prepared. We really need to talk about the individual countries. In the South African case, for example, what's very exciting, and this is all really happening this year, is the work that the DBSA and the Department for Water and Sanitation have been doing around the development of the National Water Program and the Water Partnership Office, which is meant to be held at the DBSA. That is very exciting and something that the market is talking about quite a lot. Hopefully, we're going to see a programmatic approach to water infrastructure and opportunities in this space. It's likely the office is likely to be held in the DBSA, and it will have strong partnership with municipalities and provincial governments to really identify a number of bankable and well-developed opportunities.
Is the problem an infrastructure one or a supply one?
No, it's the problem is really both, and you can't completely split the two apart. So investment in water has to happen all the way from the infrastructure side, all the way down to very much the society, green infrastructure, community level, through education, but also through smaller projects. On the infrastructure side, we definitely have a deficit in the lack of investment that we've had for years and years in South Africa. The National Water Master Plan, which was published in 2019, identified that South Africa needed about 899 billion rand of investment over a 10-year period. We've hardly seen that taking place, and when that investment has happened, it's usually gone into projects that haven't delivered the outcome that is required. So per year, we're probably missing about 33 billion rands worth of investment in this space, and so which makes it a significant infrastructure problem. We have a significant non-revenue water issue across most municipalities in South Africa. South Africa's non-revenue water is currently sitting at over 40%, and that's water that's lost through leakage, but also water that doesn't generate revenue because not getting paid for. So that's an infrastructure problem, but we can't ignore the supply issue either. South Africa is a largely water-sparse country. We depend on water coming from Lesotho for most of the water. 77% of South Africa's water is surface water, and it's about educating the community. It's about removing invasive plant species that are water thirsty. The problem is across both, really.
And I suppose all of those issues highlight why it is important to have a national coordinated water plan, very similar to what we've seen in the renewable energy with the independent power producers, correct?
Correct, absolutely. I think the water space and the framework that we have in South Africa is quite a bit more complex than the energy one, than the power one. But you're absolutely right. From the business community, really wants to see a programmatic approach to water, really wants to understand what are the projects that are coming around the corner. Are these projects bankable? How can they develop their own businesses in South Africa to be able to deliver on these projects? The finance community, both the commercial banks and the DFIs want to fund these projects, but we need to have bankable projects, well-prepared projects, and we need to have plenty of them so that we can deploy resources against them. One of the challenges, Ron, that we're going to face is actually whether we have the capacity in the country to deliver some of these projects, and that's something that we need to be thinking about. But we only resolve that if we have investment in this space, and we can really bring professionals to help us deliver projects in the water sector.
So the need is enormous. What are we seeing in terms of opportunities for banks, lenders, and other investors?
So up to now, with the exception of projects that are being done by the TCTA, which are some really interesting projects, which of course is a government organization, and also the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, which has suffered a tremendous amount of delays, but is slowly coming to fruition. Where we've been seeing a lot of traction is in the private sector. Similarly to the renewable space in South Africa, where the private sector has said, look, I need power security, so I cannot depend anymore on the state, so I will go out and I'll procure my own power. We're seeing that happen to a certain extent in the water space as well. We're seeing companies link their investments with water with their SDG targets, which is great, and really taking ownership of the problems through wastewater reuse, through new source of water, desalination, and so on. So
these are obviously some of the key trends that this environment and the opportunities are going to bring to the fore. Just in terms of highlighting some of those trends again, Thiago?
So I think big trends in this space are about reduction of water consumption, reuse of water and wastewater, and then there's a whole new area of emerging contaminants and so on that's going to require massive investments, and that has been a source of heavy investments in Europe and in North America and in some places in Asia, and eventually we'll get to Africa. Desalination is something that we need to invest heavily in South Africa as well, making the most of the fact that we have such an exposure to the coastline. That of course comes with its own energy needs, so it goes hand in hand with cheap renewable power. These are some of the trends.
Always a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you so much for joining us here, Water Day and Gender Day at COP27, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.